When I read the article and listen to the podcast, what really stood out to me is that live music doesn't feel more powerful. It actually is more powerful on a neurological level. The research shows that live music activates the affective parts of the brain, especially the amygdala, more strongly and more consistently than recorded music. But what makes that happen is something the podcast emphasized: the real time connection between performer and listener. As a band director, that idea immediately clicked for me because I see the connection happen all the time in rehearsals and performances. One of the things I consistently tell my students is that music is not just about playing the notes correctly, it's about communication. And I think this research actually gives a scientific explanation for something we already know as musicians. When students are engaged, expressive, and aware of their audience, the performance changes. And so does how people respond to it. I've had moments in performance, both as a performer and as a director, where you can literally feel the room shift. There's a point where the ensemble locks in, the audience leans in, and everything becomes more intense and focused. It's hard to describe, but it's very real. What's fascinating is that the article explains that this is not just emotional, it's neurological. Live music creates synchrony between performer and listener, meaning the brain activity of the audience actually aligns with what the musician is doing in real time. That idea is reframed rather, uh, how I actually think about an ensemble performance. When we talk about connecting with the audience, um, we're not just speaking metaphorically, we're literally influencing how the brain and how brains are, in fact, responding. Another thing that really resonated with me as a director is the idea that live music is adaptive. In the study, musicians changed things like their dynamics and their articulations, as well as intensities of the music based on how listeners were responding. That's exactly what we try to teach in rehearsal, even if we don't always say it that way. When I'm working with a band, or either mine or an honor band or someone else's band, I'm constantly asking the students to adjust, to listen to respond, to shape phrases in a way that feels alive rather than mechanical. I want that human touch, and it's all about the ears and the listening. And honestly, one of the biggest challenges in school ensembles is getting the students to move beyond just playing what's on the page. Recorded music is fixed, it cannot change, it's consistent. But live music should change, it should be different, it should breathe, it should react to what is going on. This research reinforces that when music becomes too rigid or overly focused on technical perfection, we actually lose some of that emotional impact. The being authentic means more than being perfect. The article even suggests that recorded music, because it's non-adaptive, doesn't consistently activate the emotional centers of the brain in the same way. So that's a really important takeaway for music education. If we want students to create meaningful performances, we have to teach them not just accuracy, but responsiveness, how to shape music in real time and connect with both the ensemble and the audience. I also appreciate that the study found both pleasant and unpleasant music activates the emotional brain. As a director in a high school setting, that really resonates with programmatic decisions that we make. Some of the most impactful pieces we perform aren't necessarily happy. They're emotional, reflective, sometimes even very uncomfortable. But those are often the performances that students remember the most and that audiences connect with the deepest. Personally, one of my strongest memories with live music comes from being in a high ensemble level setting, especially with my involvement within drum corps. There's a level of intensity and connection in those performances that is completely different from anything recorded. You're aware of the audience, the ensemble, the environment, everything feels heightened. At the same time, I would have described that as energy or adrenaline. But now, after reading the research, I would say that it's could be something that's deeper. It's kind of a shared emotional and neurological experience happening in real time. And as I see glimpses of that, even with my own students in our rehearsals, but I finally moved past just playing the notes and start making music together, creating that connection, that communications. When they're truly listening and they're truly reacting, you can feel the difference immediately. Overall, I strongly resonate with both what the article is delivering as well as what the speaker in the podcast is saying. If anything, they kind of validated what I've experienced for years, maybe not understanding what I'm experiencing, but definitely what I've experienced for years as a performer and as an educator. Live music isn't just more exciting, it's human, it's interactive, it's responsive, and it creates a shared experience between performers and listeners that recorded music, although it's can be phenomenal, simply cannot replicate. And as for me as a band director, that reinforces why what we do matters. We're not just teaching students to play instruments, though that is the ultimate goal. We're teaching them how to connect, how to communicate, and to create something that's meaningful and memorable, and doing so in real time.